So I thought I would come on here today and just share some lessons that I have been learning around following my intuition. And if you are also in this transition period of your life where things are really changing, right? Like things that used to feel familiar to you are no longer familiar to you. Spaces that used to feel comfortable to you don't feel comfortable to you anymore, or even people that you were familiar with are beginning to feel very unfamiliar. Like, I completely feel you. I am right there. In the past 2 weeks, I have been actually not I won't say past 2 weeks. Let's say for a little while now, I have been in this reflective mode where I am just examining some of my patterns, right? My patterns in relationships, my patterns in friendships, my patterns even in my family dynamics, my patterns when it comes to how I do work, how I earn money, and just examining that a little bit closely, right? And what led to this examination was just this feeling like something wasn't right, right? Something just wasn't aligned with who I wanted to be, right? With the kind of relationships I wanted to foster, the kind of friendships I wanted to be in, the kind of career environment I wanted to, be in as well. So, and something felt off, and that led me to start that examination process of, okay, what patterns have I been entertaining, right? What belief systems have I been holding on to? What attitudes have I been, adopting in these various spaces of relationships, friendships, career, and what have you, right? So I came up with some very interesting answers. And some of those answers I really did not like. I did not like, peering too closely into them, like coming to terms with how I overextended myself, right? Coming to terms with how I neglected some of my boundaries when it came to certain dynamics, coming to terms with, how I was accepting, corporate spaces undervaluing my work and undervaluing me in not paying me, what I deserved. And I feel like there's an argument to be made here, right? Like, generally, corporate spaces don't really pay Black women what they deserve, right? But in terms of the benchmark, like not even reaching that benchmark, right? So it's just been coming to terms with that. Coming to terms with that also leading to certain actions, right? Because I'm currently in this phase where I am really fully exercising the Queen of Swords energy, where I'm cutting things off that no longer align with me, of removing myself from spaces that don't value me, of removing myself from friendships that are not aligned with, with me anymore, with who I'm evolving into. And it's been very scary. It has been scary to say the least, like scary to feel things shifting under me, dynamics changing, removing myself from corporate spaces and not even knowing what's next, right? I mean, I don't want to say not knowing what's next, but not having something lined up to transition into, right? So, and as a Virgo sun, that has been a little bit scary because if you know anything about Virgos, we like to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z. We'll have backups to the backups. Like, we're very thorough that we were very analytical. We want to be certain about our next steps. And so to live in a space of uncertainty has just been wow. It has been, very interesting to just observe me, navigate through that. But one thing that keeps coming up to me when it comes to like the messages my intuition has been trying to pass to me has really been about trust, right? In trusting what is unfolding in my life, in trusting that, you know, God has got me. Like I'm not taking leaps to fall, flat on my face. I'm not taking these big steps to have egg on my face. Like that's not the plan. Like there's something much bigger happening. Even if I don't see it, I just need to trust that something is happening behind the scenes for me, and there's this plan that is, unfolding. And it really has been, it really has been, I don't want to say a learning curve because I'm not really learning anything, but it has been interesting to say the least. It has been interesting to just, fall into like do this trust fall to, just take it one day at a time, to trying to honor myself, holding on to my values, standing on my boundaries. Like it has really been interesting to really double down on some of these things. And I would say that, I mean, I feel like so far it has made me, it has brought me to this deeper relationship with myself, right? Like I'm always just wanting to, you know, get that signal from my intuition that, okay, this is the direction, you're meant to go on, or you're on the right path, or you need to, switch and adopt this kind of mentality, or switch to adopt this kind of belief system. Like I'm having to let go of so much of the beliefs I used to hold on to. I'm having to unlearn so many things. For example, like when it came to career, like I'm having to do away with belief systems that required me to stay put and to just get on with it, and to just, at least it's better than having nothing. Like I'm having to get rid of that, right? Because again, if you listen to my last video, I spoke about the cost of, neglecting ourselves to be in certain spaces, to be in certain relationships, to be in a certain career, right? And what that costs really does to us. Like it makes us lose our life source. We lose our creativity. We even lose connection to our intuition too. And I just feel like that's too high a cost. So I've had to get rid of belief systems that have not been serving me. And it feels it feels scary, right? It feels scary because it just means that I have to redesign something new for myself. I have to figure out what really works with my intuition, what really works for my sense of peace and my sense of stability, and I've had to learn a lot about stability as well, right? Like I'm someone that has always sought out stable grounds, right? And due to so many reasons, culminating from childhood, like I've always sought out security, stability. Like I just want to be in a place where I feel a sense of peace. But I'm learning a lot that stability doesn't come from external things, right? Stability doesn't come from a job. Stability doesn't come from people. Stability doesn't come from, anything outside of me, right? I'm the one that gives myself that stability. Like my intuition gives me the stability, all the skill sets that I have acquired through my work experiences, through the education and training that I have, acquired. That gives me stability. That is my stability. That is my security. God is also my stability and my security, right? Like I'm having to learn that, stability is actually much deeper than, you know, all of the things, all of the external markers, right? Like having a secure job, or I don't want to call it a secure job, but like having a job, or having a certain income, or being around, or having certain relationships, or being in certain spaces. Like I've had to unlearn that stability isn't any of that, or security isn't any of that. It's found within myself. It's found in my intuition. Security is found in all of the life experiences that I have gathered so far. And honestly, I feel like I'm now starting to feel joy around that, right? Joy in that knowledge that, yo, I am the security. I am the stability. Like, I give myself those things. It doesn't come from outside of me. It doesn't come from people, places, or things. It comes from inside of me. So those are some of the lessons that I have been learning, during this transition period of my life, moving away from things that used to feel familiar to me, even though they were very detrimental to my, connection with my intuition. So having to move away from that, having to move away from those belief systems and those spaces has just been, it has been interesting to like just observe, right? Like sometimes I feel like I am outside of myself, just watching how things are unfolding, how I'm handling things, like some challenges that came up. For example, like 2 weeks ago, I resigned from my job because I knew deep down that it wasn't aligned, like it was not aligned in any of the markers, right? From income to the kind of work I was doing, like it was just not aligned. And just having to trust that God has a bigger plan for me, right? Because I left without having any other thing lined up, even though I'm studying for a license now that I want to get. It's an insurance broker license. But still, that's still like months away, right? It's not something that is immediate. Like I can start today. Like I still have to wait to get the license or do the exams and get the license and all of that. So it's just been interesting to like, just observe myself. And I'm also not in a hurry to, you know, go back out there and apply. Although I have been applying for jobs, but like I am not really putting my back into it. I'm just sending things out there and if anything comes back, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's okay. So it's just been interesting to watch myself like go through all of these changes and just taking things a bit easy and just finding peace within myself, right? Because before I would find peace in the fact that I had an income. I would find peace in the fact that, and I'm not saying those are not things to be peaceful about, having that is very it's very good, right? Because bills have to be paid, things have to be done, you have obligations, I have obligations. So it's not all of that, but it's just interesting. I think that is my point here. Just interesting that align things are on their way to me, right? Align careers are on its way to me. And even if I have to pivot to a different career, like I need to find peace in that decision, right? So I feel like it has just been one big exercise in trust, in just sitting with myself and asking myself those hard questions, right? Asking myself questions around what patterns have I been repeating, right? But that are detrimental to my connection with my intuition and my well-being, and asking myself, where am I hesitating, right? Like, cause I feel like I am ready to take a big step in, let's say, the direction of being a business owner. That's something that I have been looking more closely into this year. And just asking myself, like, okay, what are the blocks here? Like, where do I feel hesitant to begin? What can I do to remove that friction for myself? So it's been in sitting down and having these kind of conversations with myself, in just trying to, look at life from a different perspective, right? Like I have been living life this one way, but like there's so much over here that I can also explore. So it's been in doing that exercise, right? Like in figuring out what else is there for me? How can I design my life in a way that feels true to my intuition, that feels true to my sense of peace, and that feels, you know, honorable to me as well. So it's just been all of that. And honestly, these things they're not easy, questions to sit with, right? Like I have cried through, doing that exercise and just realizing where I have, the role that I have played in repeating those patterns and in holding myself accountable, right? Like I have to be firm on my boundaries. I have to be firm in how I approach certain things, how I think about certain things, right? Like career, for example. I haven't thought about it this way, but then there's so much also that I have not explored. There's so much to um to do, right? There's so much to do. And one should I call it an example? But like one business use case that I have been mulling over, right? Around coaching, because I have done data privacy for what, like 5 years now. And I just think it's a good idea to kind of do like package it in a self-serve way, for women that are interested in pivoting to data privacy. Because data privacy is actually quite a lucrative career. Like you could be paid in the six-figure range, depending on where you're working. But like most corporate environments pay data privacy professionals really well. So I feel like it's a good career to transition into if you're interested in, technology, if you're interested in regulatory stuff, in policies and processes. So that's one business use case I had, packaging that up in a self-serve way, to kind of help women that want to pivot to data privacy, show them the ropes of what they need to do, what kind of industries hire, those kind of professionals, what the work involves and the typical stakeholders, just everything that I have learned in the past 5 years, packaging that up, because I've actually had people ask me in the past 3 years or 4 years now about the field, like what do professionals in the field do? What does our work entail? So that gave me an idea to get into doing that as a business. So let's see how that goes. But these are the things that I'm talking about. Like my mind has expanded to seeing opportunities and seeing like things I could have easily missed, right? But then I'm learning to see the value in the ideas that come up to me, and not just seeing the value in them, but in actually like taking some action in executing them, or in at least testing them out, just see if there is some interest in the marketplace. But yeah, I'm just really in this space of trusting that my intuition has my back, that I am never steered wrong when I listen to my intuition. I'm really in this space of, designing the life that feels true to me, that feels good to me. And this is not going to be without any challenges. I've actually had challenges come in terms of pushback from people. Like I've had those, but it's still in like understanding that there's a bigger plan in place, and it's really okay for me to double down on my boundaries, right? It's really okay for me to affirm what it is I want to see and assert myself. So yeah, these are some of the things that I am learning or some lessons that I have, I've had to sit with, right? As some of these things have come up. I've had to sit with them. I've had to really ask myself these deep questions, right? And I'd like to pose the same to you as well, right? If you're in this transition period as well in your own life where things are becoming, things that used to feel familiar to you are becoming unfamiliar, spaces that used to feel comfortable to you are beginning to feel uncomfortable, you know, how are you handling that, right? Like, I would like to read in the comments as well how you're handling this transition period for yourself. And are you sitting down to have those difficult conversations with yourself? Like, is that something you're doing as well as part of this, transition phase? Are you asking yourself questions around what patterns you have been upholding, right? Because we don't want to repeat those things as we move forward into the new, chapter. We want to have those new mentalities, new belief systems, new attitudes that would help sustain us in this next phase. And something that has been coming up for me also, before I forget, is the topic of capacity, right? Extending my capacity so that I can hold more, right? Extending my capacity so that I can actually expand. Because I'm really in this phase of expansion. Like I want to do more with I actually want to leave Like I realized that I was really in deep survival mode for like a while. Like I was just really focused. I had tunnel vision on certain things, just wanting to do my work, earn money, pay bills. But like that was it. There was no time for play. There was no time. I mean, I made time for adventure and all of that, but I want it to be like a way of life for me now. Like I want to incorporate play as part of my life. So what I've been doing, like I don't know if you can see this playbill behind me. It's called How to Catch a Creation. I went to watch that yesterday. And I mean I go see plays from, every now and then, but like these are things I'm incorporating more in my life. Going to, going to see plays. I love performance arts, going to the theater. Something else I did this past week was sew a bubu, like kaftan. You know, those African kind of kaftans are like a bit baggy and flowy and long, but I made mine short because that's what I wanted. But like this past week, I have been doing that in trying to get the patterns together, cutting up the fabric and sewing the bubu. And when I wore it today, I was so happy with myself. Like I was so proud of myself. That was the first one I have made, I think. And it's something I always wanted. Like I always wanted to make a bubu for myself. But then I finally did it and I was like, oh my God. So these are the possibilities that are opening up to me where I have ideas. And then next thing, I'm holding it in my hand, like just going from in here to out here. And I want to see more of that in my life. Like I want to see more of those kind of things where for the business I just shared with you, like it's in my mind. But next thing, I have a bunch of clients that I'm dealing with. I have a bunch of clients I'm, serving, I'm helping to, pivot to data privacy if they want that. Like these are, new things are opening up in my life. And I'm just really excited that whenever I take that step in trusting that there's a bigger plan, whenever I take that step in trusting my intuition, like it's telling me, oh, buy this pattern from this person, or this person releases the Google pattern you get from them and sew it up. Magically, the fabrics that I had ordered like 5 months ago arrives in time for me to sew. Like everything just starts to fall into place, right? For example, the idea to start the business kind of came. I think I was watching someone else talk about it, and I was like, I should actually like do this for, people that want to pivot into data privacy. I wonder what that would look like. And then I went on Claude and I was like, okay, what kind of products would serve this group of women, right? That where I used to be non-technical roles. I'm a lawyer by training, and then I pivoted to tech, where I used to be to where I'm currently at, and what kind of products would make sense for this group of women. And it sparked back things to me. And I'm like, okay, these are things I can definitely do. And now I want to batch film like 30 videos and 70 shots for, content, and then develop the products on the side. Like ideas just started coming. Ideas started coming. I also want to write ebooks on the subject matter. And I'm thinking of actually writing a book around these topics that we discuss around intuition, connecting with ourselves, not overriding our boundaries, our intuition, all of that. So ideas just start to pour in. And I feel like that is the reward that we get once we begin to listen to our intuition and make those small shifts. We begin to open ourselves up to other possibilities, to other things that we would have never ever like experienced or even thought of. And I feel like that is such a wonderful reward to have, like to be in this kind of space where you're experiencing new things, where you're experiencing new possibilities and experiencing a new way of living life. And it's just so, I think it's wonderful and it beats the fear every time, right? Because I know earlier I said it's a little bit scary, but I feel like what is worse is if I'm not taking those steps, if I'm not connecting with my intuition. And yeah, I'm just really, excited for my next chapter. I know that it's going to be, you know, a really, really good one. And I'm just looking forward to all the adventures I get to go on. And I'm hoping the same for you as well. Because I know if you're watching, you are probably in a transition period as well. And I just want to encourage you to just, hold on and to keep trusting your intuition, keep trusting in the bigger plans that God has for your life, that your intuition has for you. And even when those challenges come, even when those pushbacks come, like don't be afraid. Don't feel like you have to, overcompensate or even explain yourself. Like just double down on those boundaries and just trust that everything is going to work out as it should. Because again, we deserve to live. I feel like we deserve to live delicious lives. I feel like we deserve to live lives that feel true to us and that honor us, right? Because again, this life is really for the living. We have to live it the best we can. And yeah, well, I hope, my message was helpful today. I hope the lessons I shared was helpful today. And I will see you in my next video. Please check out the other videos, especially the one I did 2 weeks ago, I think 2 Sundays ago. Check it out because in that video, I got into what those costs are to us not listening to our intuition. And then I also explained some concepts that Audre Lorde shared in her, I think it's called The Uses of the Erotic. So around, how society tries to wrangle out the creativity and the spirituality that is within us women and what we can do to recover that, right? So yeah, check it out. And until my next video, take good care of yourselves and I will see you next time. Bye.